Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk Cow Not Bull.
We're walking around Huber Technik factory. We're celebrating the 100th birthday, and we have Martin Folkema of Agri-Comfort, a sister company to Agri-Plastics. Mike Ryan all the way from Eagle Direct, from Australia.
Thank you, Noel.
We've Ronan from Creva, one of our in-house Huber guys, and behind we have Vincent Dorney and Damien O'Donovan from Agri-Engineering, and then of course we've Hanna on camera. So we're just going to do a little walk around. But Martin, you rightly suggested we're just going to look at the factory. We may as well start where the rubber starts, and we're looking here at new tire compound, right?
Yeah. That's all they use here.
And for you being a big fan of the 4GS, right?
Yeah, done it for 12 years now.
12 years,
Yeah.
and that's all mattress systems mainly.
Mm-hmm. The 4GS and the HGS.
And as we quite saying, you're a long time in this industry. Benjamin Button.
Yeah, I've done rubber since 1999. I've been doing rubber flooring and mattresses. So
yeah. And
not always Huber, but
yeah,
that last 12 years have been the best 12 years.
Because I remember that, because you had that decision where you were going from a different supplier and you changed over to Huber. Mm-hmm. And what made you change?
I saw some of their product that had been installed for over 5 or 6 years, and compared to all the other stuff out there, like there's nothing that even touches it for quality.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I'd heard of Huber, didn't really know a lot about them.
Yeah.
And then when this other company said it was their biggest competitor, and I had an opportunity, I thought, well, I had to check it out. So.
Boom.
Yeah.
No looking back.
No.
Many warranty issues over the years?
None.
Nothing.
No.
And like so you love the 4 mil with the foam underneath. And the challenge with having 4 mil is that it can break down, because some of your other suppliers in the past probably had that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's where the new tire compound comes into play.
So Hanna can see there. So this is the only compound that you get at Huber. And Mike, I don't know, did you see that earlier here yesterday? So this machine, well, this is after coming through there. Am I saying that right? That's all. Yeah, it's after it comes through the pizza kneading machine there.
It's a calendar mill, isn't that what
Calendar mill, yeah. And I don't know if they just have this blocked off here, but just at the back there, that's where the compound comes in containers, I guess, from the new tire compound. Yeah.
I love the machines.
You like the machines, Mike? Yeah.
All to do with the fall of the wall, and this is where they came from. They're built tough, aren't they? They're beautiful.
What did you hear? The fall of the wall?
Oh, I'm talking about the Berlin Wall. So it all came from East.
Okay,
East
I missed
Germany.
that story. Yeah.
So East Germany, because I was asking how they got some of their presses, because a lot of it's top quality stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's 40-year-old machines. So obviously East Germany said we're going to make rubber.
Yeah.
And they hadn't been touched, so they moved in, bought the machines, brought them here, and they started.
Wow.
So,
and they've been maintaining them since. So we'll see some of those presses as we walk around.
Mm.
But so you're a long time in Cow Comfort, Mike, and we've done some business together in Agri-Plastics. But you're looking at more at matting now, right?
Yeah, it's just, I guess, looking at bedding is something that people talk about last.
Yeah.
In our market, for some reason, they just think they've just got to get their cows in a shed, and we're just looking at all bedding options. And I guess this is where this conversation. You've got resources like these guys to be able to pick their brains and find out what's working on farm. So we'll have the ability to go to Ireland and see some of Vincent's installs, which would be nice.
That's nice.
After 3 or 4 years, it's always a good tester of a product.
Yeah.
If the farmer's still happy, so yeah.
Well, we'll go back to O'Donovan's then. So, Damien, can you remember how long are you working with Huber Technik now?
It's like nearly 20. But just before that, I think the year previous.
Yeah.
Mr. Tillman.
Yeah.
He met us at the pre-match.
So that would have been late 90s.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
The particular day or the particular year, I'm not too sure. But we were apprehensive at the time because it wasn't the thing.
Okay.
Rubber mat or roll underneath cows. It was all kind of Mayo mat.
Yeah. So like an EVA mat was the common at the time,
it was the common thing. I'm sure people didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
There was nothing else in the market. And then they started using conveyor rubber
Oh, right. Yeah.
from Westbourne River Stick.
Yeah.
And there were issues with that because we didn't sell any of it hardly, but it came to our attention that seemingly the stuff off the conveyors was used stuff,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of carcinogenics,
Yeah.
and we were made aware of that straight away, and we said, no, we would actually came into our premises, and they actually did see a bit of rubber which we had used for something else.
Wow.
Doors. Yeah, doors, yeah.
Okay.
And, but, as I said, then, I started dealing over Huber then.
And I think I used to be able to find this on Google, but there was a case down in, I think it was in Cork, where toxins ended up in the milk.
Yeah.
And when they traced it back, it was actually the rubber had broken down from a conveyor belt. Teats weren't cleaned properly. And the toxins showed up in the rubber because like there's 2 times a cow's teat touches rubber. There's the clusters in the milking parlour, and that's food grade rubber, and then there's the rubber they're lying on. And Huber now, I think, is one of the only companies that is PAH certified.
That's correct,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, we're clear on what we're selling.
Yeah.
You know, there are no issues. We're not taking a chance. So, you know, it's obviously it's a premium product.
Yeah.
And it's about to get that information out to farmers. I think more so now, I think farmers are way more in tune with animal husbandry.
Yeah.
And I think legislation is probably forcing people to go down that route. Big supermarkets, the buyers of, you know, milk and meat products.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have to trace traceability issues.
Yeah.
Going back to the farm. So, like, we're happy then that every bit of rubber goes out.
Yep.
With Vincent and the rest of our salespeople, you know, there should be no issue.
No issue, no comeback.
None whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, just this niggling the price. But forget about the price and just concentrate on the product you're getting. And with the warranty.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody could give a warranty like that.
No. It's a manufacturer's warranty, not a marketing warranty.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
And on the warranty line, just to drop it in, people don't, but like when Huber give a warranty, as per German law, they actually keep some funds in the account, even though they don't have any warranty claims, but they have like a money in the account budgeted for if there ever was a warranty.
So like then, that was it. Like, and then this guy by the name of Noel Kelly came on board.
Oh yeah,
and
that fella.
Fucking things went to shit then after that.
I hear that a lot. No, that's fine. But while I have you, Damien, but I'll get Vincent now in a second. But while I have you, Damien, what's one of the biggest changes you've seen? Like you yourself in your business, your engineering business, very successful in Ireland. I think it was just yourself at the back of the shed starting, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I came home from college, my dad had an accident. He drove a chisel through his knee.
Yeah.
And his tendons were cut, and so eventually, my first item that I made was, I said, like, this is his drudgery, you know.
Okay.
And so I made a dehorning crate.
Okay. So a dehorning crate was the first product.
I made it when I was in college. I was making things which I shouldn't be making.
Yeah.
Because I was into radio electronics too, you see.
Yeah.
But farmers started to borrow it. Next thing it disappeared.
Okay.
You
don't know where the crate has gone to. No.
I'd love to get it back. It is scrap, you know, at this stage. So I kind of built from there then, and it kind of grew then, and you know, I suppose our biggest contact with, say, companies out there was Photo Wildlife Park.
Yeah.
And we started.
Which is kind of like a zoo down in Cork.
The first people to move in there.
Yeah.
The first thing we did there was a cattle grid.
Okay.
But I knew the guy.
So this is the cattle grid for driving over. Yeah.
It's gone since. But so we started from there, and the UCC in Cork. They owned that. Yes, so the guy that was namesake of mine, he was no relation. We got very friendly, and he started putting more work our way. Then, of course, when the animals started coming in, because they were affiliated to Dublin Zoo.
Yeah.
and they're also affiliated to Longleat Zoo in the UK. And so from there we started
That was,
Creva.
and come here, when did you start doing, say, the likes of cubicles and headlocks and really get into farms, or when did that take off?
I actually was doing that before we were doing photo.
Really, yeah.
Excuse me.
Because I remember because I think we have some of those at home too, where you had the wall hanging cubicles with the bolt on the wall and was kind of swinging.
I actually designed them.
Yeah. I still have a few of those at home.
Jordan, I was at the show and we had a cubicle. I said, "That's my cubicle."
Oh.
But I didn't.
Yeah. Everything's moving so fast then. Yeah. And then you had a lad working for you on a delivery truck, and then he went out doing more, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's probably a long story, but
I'm going to you now, Vincent. How long are you with Donovan Engineering?
1984.
84.
41 years in September.
41 years September. And then you were on deliveries for a while, right? And then you went...
I started in the workshop on the floor. I'm doing a bit of welding or whatever, and one morning, Damien's brother, Dermot, came down to me and he said, "You have a full license, don't you?" And I said, "I do." And he said, "There's a lot of cubicles up outside on the Jeep and trailer." I was only 17. And he said, "They must go to Carlow." I said, "Dermot, stop." I said, "I wasn't even outside Dunkittle roundabout," which was the old roundabout in Cork.
That was the furthest you had driven before that.
So there was no phone. There was no sat-nav. All you had was a map and your head. So I left the yard that morning, which was probably 150 miles away with the delivery, and went into that yard without making a stop and came back home.
Yes.
And then it was a bit of workshop, a bit of delivery, a bit of on-site fitting, driving the lorry, whatever. First lorry that came to O'Donovan's, I drove it. Iveco.
Yeah.
I had L plates up and that to get the license. And that was at 19, I'd say. And I suppose it led from there then to driving a bigger truck and pulling the trailer with it, and maybe a bit of fitting or whatever the story may be. Then it came to one day when Damien's brother came back and he said, "We want you to go selling." I said, "Go selling?" "No way, I'm not going selling." And I said, "I'm happy out doing what I'm in." He said, "Give it a go." So I said, "Why? Why do I need to give it a go?" Because he says, "You explain everything when you go out with the delivery."
Yeah. You're
and
dropping off.
And we need that explanation before we sell it. And went from there, and I said, "Right, we'll give it a go for 1 month, but I'm going back if I don't like it." Here we are.
How many
40 years later, 40 years later.
Because no more than everyone knows Mike in Australia and knows Martin in Canada. Sure, every farmer knows you in Ireland. And you know, I've seen the plenty of videos made. When you go into a farm, it's more about consulting with them than selling to them, isn't it? It's telling them what's right and what works.
When you get the question, "What price is this?" you hit them with an answer to another aspect. You get away from the price. You find out what they want.
Yeah.
Because what they're actually looking for a price for is not actually what they want, because they don't realize what other options are out there.
Yeah.
So you play the price to the last.
Yeah.
But you interview them to find out what they want before.
Brilliant.
Like if you go to take the Huber mat, you go with looking for a price on the mat, you won't answer. They'd say, "How much is the space?" But the space, there's so many different spaces.
Yes.
So the space changes, the price changes. All I'd say is, I must measure this first before I can give you a price on it. I can give you a rough price, but we get away from the price. But when you get down to paper to price it, is when the lift will come and say, "Is it that much money?" And then you can give the options. Add the foam into it.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy the foam now. You can put in the mat now, which is the N20, but you can also put in the foam maybe 5 years' time.
So in the Irish market, like 99% of what you sell from Huber is the N20 studded roll. And then, as you say, covers all. Great, because in Ireland we have a lot of grass-based farmers, so you might need a mattress type solution. N20 is fine. plenty of comfort, but then if you want to add more comfort, you put foam under that.
Some people are very impressed with the N20.
Yeah.
But more people will give you this feel that it's a bit hard, right? Maybe so. But if you want to make comfort of it, it's little, and the cost of it.
Yeah.
Once you add the foam, and you can add the foam, in the case you must pull out the
Sure.
mat and put in a new mat, you just lift your old mat,
Yeah.
shove in your foam, and you have your mattress.
And the advantage of N20 in the first place, well, first of all, it's so durable, it'll definitely outlive the farm. Like, there's no N20 roll that you've taken out yet, is there?
No.
How many years are you selling it?
25.
25 years.
The first place was put in 25 years ago. I know exactly what was put. I know how many spaces was put in the lines. It was 10 in the single line, and it was 2 double lines of 8
Okay.
of spaces. But maybe about 4 years later, we added, he knocked the in walls and he extended the shed, and he added another 8 spaces to every line. And if you ask me, was there a difference between the new and the old in that many years? Nothing to be seen.
Nothing to be seen.
Only that was dirtier. There was no
yeah.
wear whatsoever on the rubber.
Yeah. And like one of the top Holstein herds in Ireland, John O'Sullivan, a good friend of yours in Listuff,
And
it's
he has
all in 20 they have, yeah.
All in 20. I'm very happy with it.
And come here, I suppose that'll bring us nicely back to where we started, and we'll start walking around the factory more. And the reason for that, Vincent, is it's the new tire compound. So like the compound that you put in 20 years ago is the same as it is today. So if you took a chunk of that, put it into a lab, and tested this one here, it's the same compound. It's the mixture for a tire of a car.
Yeah.
So let's drive on through, and we'll have a look at some of the presses. Now, Hanna, while we're waiting for the guys to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of being the master at coordinating everything, how have you found Huber for dealing with in terms of coordinating shipments, like the project you did for Ukraine?
I would say amazing. Like
Yeah.
the details they give with the paperwork, the dedication to all the details is amazing. So no issues, no questions. And if there are any even smaller questions, they are solved within half an hour.
Yeah.
So Germans, they are precise and fast.
German efficiency. And if
Yep.
they say it's going to be ready on such a day, at such a time.
And it can be even ready earlier than that. Like
Yeah.
2 weeks earlier than the lead time is pretty nice for the
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah. So because we met Yuri earlier. That Ukraine project was interesting, and it was a lot of rubber, and there was a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. Because of the customs clearance and everything. But in general, between Europe, there are no borders, that everything travels without practically any documents, but just an invoice.
Yeah.
But if you have some special country, you need to ship the goods to like Japan, for example, or Australia.
Yeah.
Then the paperwork is really 100% precise, no mistakes.
And we won that. There's that big project then with our friend in Japan. That's
Yep.
going to be fun. That's going to start shipping next year, right?
I know the first container has already left.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hanna.
There are 3 more to go.
Wow.
I don't know when this interview will be published, but at
Yeah.
the moment, now we are in the end of June, 3 more to go.
Nice. And like we're seeing so much success with Huber. Like your friends in Estonia, Marda, like that just happened very fast, and things are going great for them.
Yeah, like their growth within half a year or a year maximum, like is 3 times more than they used to sell.
And they're another company
Very
like
good.
O'Donovan where they sell quality themselves, and they don't want any comeback. And it's been great.
Yeah, that's true.
So Martin, we're at a line here. It's your baby.
Yep.
Is that a 4GS?
4GS top cover.
There you go. And so it just needs a little bit of a trim there, whatever. But your favorite. So as a man, long time in the industry,
Share your experience.
to somebody coming into it, any advice for Mike?
Any advice?
Give your advice to your younger self.
Much better looking self.
I didn't say that.
Avoid all Irishmen at all costs. How's that for advice?
Absolutely.
No, I think start. I mean, if I had a do-over in life, I wish I'd started with this product, right? Because it is the best quality rubber you can find, for sure.
And I was asking it before, just by putting this mat in,
Yeah.
You were using a different range of
Top
topping
covers,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah, and even different mattresses too. But
Yeah.
the foam in the mattress is your best bet for a stall. Yeah.
And sorry,
Go ahead.
manure solids on top of something like this.
You can use manure solids, chopped straw, you name it. You know, shavings.
We even have customers using sand on top. There's some farmers, they just love sand. You're never going to get them away from it. But if they put the mattress underneath, they can build sand up on top, use less sand. Maybe use 20% of what they used
One
to.
thing I always say about cow comfort, though,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have the softness, but you got to have dryness, right? If you don't, this is the best quality product in the world, but if it's wet, you're gonna have issues.
Yeah.
You got to keep the cows dry.
And so about having a base on top. So if you have, say, manure solids on top of this compared to a deep bed,
Yep.
what's your differences?
I think having compared to a deep bed, especially manure solids, right? The bacteria thrive the deeper you go in the stall, right? So, and that's a breeding ground. And I mean, we want to keep that udder dry and bacteria free. So.
And then what about other trends in the industry, Martin, that we've seen going on? Like a lot of people go nuts for, say, the likes of waterbeds, you know? So what's your and you know, somebody, say, down in Mike's market, large farm building, and you know the like sand is great, but it's very expensive. And if they're looking at a mattress, and then someone, I've seen all this talk and research about waterbeds and how fantastic they are. What's your
How many
story?
people sleep on waterbeds nowadays? Not too many, right?
No.
But
The waterbeds
I remember when the waterbeds came out too.
Yeah.
Like an old guy came up to me at a trade show and says, "What do you think of these waterbeds?" And I go, "I don't know. They're new, and I don't know." And he goes, "I don't like them." I said, the old guy said, and he says, "Well, my wife and I had one, and then we just drifted apart." But in all seriousness,
Yeah.
for waterbeds, I think all these guys would agree. Cows tell you what they like, right? When they lay down, and I've seen it where you have waterbeds and a mattress side by side. The cow always takes a mattress, right? And part of that is behavior, right? They're timid creatures by nature. When they step into the stall with their front feet, and they don't have that sure footing, it moves, it makes them nervous. Yeah. And so they'll take a mattress every time. Now, I guess, if you only have water beds the whole barn, they will get used to that and get past that because they need to lay down. But you know, once you have a water bed in a stall, because it flexes and moves so much, bedding is a challenge to keep it on the mats.
So,
right?
So like anything water that's moving, you talked about dryness earlier, how important it is. So if you're trying to sprinkle on some shavings, not for comfort, but for dryness, once the cow stands on there, it's just going to wave and fall off. Yeah,
because it's a chamber system, right? So all the bedding goes to the lowest point. So,
and what you were saying there yesterday about the udder and weight distribution.
Yeah,
as well.
So once they're laying down too, of course, like the pressure from the water, the softest part of the cow, of course, is the udder. So you get more pressure on the udder, and that's leaking milk. So
you get milk
leakage.
No,
and then of course there's your moisture. You don't want that leaking milk underneath the cow.
And like, I mean, it is fancy, and it's a challenging time for farmers, and we're always trying to do the best for comfort. And like, it does sound fantastic, waterbeds, and then you've got companies then selling them based around cooling the cow. Right. And I know I have some thoughts on that as well, where like, okay, if it's cooling the cow and the water, but then you're also, the cow's energy can be going in to heat the water. So, I mean, I don't know where you stand on that argument.
I haven't given it a lot of thought. I guess I don't think the Huber Forge. Yes, I don't think it takes a lot to heat up to begin with. Right? It's foam itself has an insulation factor, which I don't know what that would be, but
So what? Okay, so the people's argument in waterbeds that it helps to cool your cow, because like it's a big issue for sure. And Mike, you're dealing with this in your market, hot cows, right? So there's the argument saying, well, you know what, the waterbed is cooler. So when the cow comes in, you're helping to cool the cow. But then, of course, we do have colder weather and colder nights. So if that water in the waterbed is 10 degrees lower, and a cow coming on it with body temperature of 37, she's then using her energy and that expensive feed you put in there to heat water. So that's my logic, or that's the flaw I see. And I don't anyone will tell you, and you're dealing with that. Like how would you advise your customers to cool cows in hot climates? Like I'd never hear someone bring your cooling up from the bottom.
Yeah.
You do it in the environment.
Yeah. We've found soaking at the feed face, 100%, and then a lot of air on the bed. So you get that bed comfortable straight away. She use the description. She gets up, she eats, has a big a belly full. She gets wet to the skin, and she goes back, sits with a girlfriend beside her, either side, and air's coming across her nose. That's been really successful.
But nobody's tried to tell you to put a cold floor under them. Like none of us are going into a hotel room with a cold bed. Well, you get AC in the room, right?
Right.
Even the thing that we've got some guys in the Middle East at the moment talking about colder water for cows, and just saying, okay, and that nutritional guys just say, no, don't. Cows don't want to drink cold water. They want to drink fresh water. Okay. They're talking about chilling water. To be able to cool a cow down. But you think inside her rumen, she's got bugs growing, she takes in a big gulp of really cold water. Yeah. That's just not a natural thing. She wants fresh water, she wants clean water, but not cold water. Not cold water. So all these different ways. They sound good. Yeah. But they can be a negative effect at the other end. Yeah. And Mike, while we have you, we have to drop in a little bit about agri-plastics. Yeah. I know we're bouncing around. Yeah. No, we've had great success with the products. Yeah. I think is just the ease of it, the ease of cleaning it, packing it up. We're using buddy systems here now, so cards are, instead of going into quite a complicated system where you've actually got an auto feeder there, you've got cards in pens, so bigger groupings of cards. We sort cheaper by calf to be able to put a shed over them. We cool them as well in our part of the world, so air going across the bed, and then the agri-plastic pen on a good base. So what's a good base to you? It's really like a road base, and then we'll have some sort of track running through the middle of the calf pen to be able to take any of that excess moisture. And that calf's been in there, buddied up until weaning. What's the project Hanna was just working on with you now that you just got delivery? How many calves are you going to be housing there? We've got about 1,000 calves that are going to go in that same system. Yeah. It's always cost first what works. Yeah. And the guys have been using them, and especially the people on farm, they seem to love the usability of to break down the pen, put it back in, clean it, and start again. So is that the protocol? So you got the Ultraflex pen, you just take it apart, come in with the skid steer, is it? Clean out? Yeah, generally, yep. And you're not using straw bedding at all, are you? Using straw or sawdust. Just depends what's going. But that seems to be the little bit of top up as you go along. We started with a divider in the middle and keep the calves apart for a few days. But it's another work point, and we didn't really think there was much benefit. We thought there was more benefit putting the calves together. You put two calves together from the start. Yeah, nice. Yeah, and that just worked out, I think, as a bit of animal welfare or a bit of social license. Yeah, definitely. But the calves actually did pretty well, so the figures and the calf health just shot up. When we did that system, we were going, as I said, we were doing, a lot of guys were doing auto feeders, penning their calves in, and by accident, this system came along. I think we started talking to you guys. Yeah, we had a lovely dinner once on Valentine's Day up in Derry. That's another story. Go on. And there was an empty shed, and we said, we had a client that was saying, what are we going to do with this empty shed? We need to raise calves. We need somewhere for the calves. Agri-Plastics came to the forum, and we had another pen and an agri-plastics pen, and it was that decision. And I think it was the ease of cleaning, loading, putting the pens back together again, and the quality of the pen itself. And come here, the recent. Is Jake Martin involved in some of the designs of the sheds now? Because I remember, it was so funny. Jake's done a lot of work in our part of the world. Yeah, because I had a video call with Jake on something else entirely, and we were just talking about calf housing and the challenges. We work in the Middle East, and myself, Hanna, and Ronan be talking to whoever in the Middle East, and you're always talking about calf. And then Jake goes, "Oh, look, here's one of my favorite projects in the hot climate." And he shows me your farm with agri-plastics. I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you designed that." So Jake. Or he planned the ventilation in the barn, right? correct.
Okay.
And we did all sorts of things just on the ventilation side. We did all sorts of things to try to create some sort of fresh air. We've got flies, obviously a bit of wet and a bit of heat in that as well. And we did all sorts of things, and we just found running big fans above the calves.
Wow.
Break down the flies, and flies crawling all over them. And you see it. You see where a fan is not quite, and flies just cover
Really?
pens.
So you've got the fans strong enough.
It's the great Australian wave. It's this,
Yeah.
because you're getting flies.
That's
away
like
the
why you
whole
have.
time.
That's why you got the little
The
things.
corks on the hat.
The corks on the hat.
It's a real thing.
That keeps the flies away.
Yeah.
I thought you're just a bit
shake
crazy,
it like
you know.
That. Shake it like that, and away you go. So it's made a huge difference, and I think it's a really simple setup when you can say, right, this is the shed we need.
Mhm.
These are the pens that are going to work really well. So they're nice. They're nice projects.
So you probably learned a bit about agri-plastics there now too, Martin, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's a nice project.
So thank you.
So
Well done.
coming back to the rubber, Mike, any questions from yourself? You've got good gang of rubber experienced people here with Vincent.
I think I'm just learning just in regards to different rubber compounds. And I think something that I learned, I guess, is rubber's not rubber from these guys about the longevity of it, but just how practically guys are using using mats and how they're
roll
I guess,
solutions.
the best
Yeah.
solution for it. So
Yep.
Like 2 weeks earlier than the lead time is pretty nice for the
Yeah.
customer.
Yeah. So because we met Yuri earlier. That Ukraine project was interesting, and it was a lot of rubber, and there was a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the customs clearance and everything. But in general,